3 minutes. Ooh, I don't even know if I'm capable. Talk for hours and hours. Short version. Ran in 2024 against Amy Klobuchar, and we flipped 27 counties. Got 1.3 million votes from most of you, and a lot of you in here probably, which is the second most U.S. Senate votes in Minnesota Republican Party history. Number one was Jason Lewis. He had 1.5 million in about 6 years ago, and I like Jason Lewis a lot. So, we made improvements, and when you live in a deep blue state like we do, I think you have to take a multiple election approach to unseating these people. One, we see Donald Trump has done a great job to uncover the amount of money that the mainstream media and government have colluded with to basically beat Republicans, right? So we know that the Democrats have a lot of mainstream media help behind them. Amy Klobuchar being one of them. She's $18 million she raised. She's got more money than Midas. So it blows my mind that we get a candidate like myself, not to promote myself, but I am up here to run a campaign, that we get a candidate who actually improves the numbers with no money from the NRSC, mind you, no money from D.C., and I wear that as a badge of honor. I think that special interest and lobby money is a problem in our country. It ruined our country, more or less. And we still improve the numbers, and then we want to wash all the candidates and start over again. All the time and money and energy that we put into the campaign goes to waste, just pragmatically speaking. Now, if a guy comes and he runs and he gets trounced and the numbers went down, then okay, let's find somebody better. But all we hear from my campaign and the people that gave us feedback is, for the first time I donated to a candidate. For the first time I'm going to my BPOU. For the first time I'm talking about politics in my household. For the first time I'm pushing my church and my local community groups to be more active. So that's why we felt compelled to go at it again. Plus, you got the advantage that Tina Smith's resigning. I don't think she wanted to debate me, honestly. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. She's resigning for whatever reasons, and there's an open seat, so that helps us as well. And I think Angie Craig and certainly Peggy Flanagan are an example of the same radical left policies that the entire country rejected. I said recently on the radio, and for all of you who want to listen to me monologue more, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern on Real America's Voice, I do an hour-long TV show. But I said recently, 2024 was a referendum on the American people. And the American people answered that call. That's why Donald Trump was elected. President Trump was elected. And we're doing great things. 2026 is going to be a referendum on all the Republican parties in all the swing states. And Minnesota is a swing state. And as much as I love President Trump, I'm 100% a supporter. That's why the Star Tribune said I'm unfit for office. That should tell you that's the best endorsement I got all cycle. Yes. Star Tribune said I'm unfit. That means you should probably vote for me, right? Didn't say my primary opponent was unfit, mind you. And that should tell you something as well. And I guarantee you when this primary rolls around, they won't say that he's unfit either. Tells you who the dangerous one is. Anyway, as much as President Trump is doing, nobody's coming to save you all. President Trump's not coming to save Minnesota. It's not going to happen. Sad but true. He's going to do everything he can. Hopefully we clean up the elections from the federal level on down. Hopefully we do some other things that have an impact here. But nobody is coming to save us here. We have to save ourselves, which is why I decided to stay and run again and not move to some, Republican district where I can get some cushy, safe house seat that votes Republican every time. You got to stay and defend your post. So, my name is Royce White again. I look forward to meeting some of you guys on the campaign trail over the next year. We're already mobilized. We got these great mobile billboards we're bringing through the cities now. Another thing is we got to get these races started early. We got to start campaigning early. We can't wait until the convention in May and then the primary, and then all of a sudden we got a 60-day rush to try and beat a entrenched incumbent. So right now, from today, really, let's say October 1. From October 1, I'm going to run a campaign as though I'm running in the general. And if I get the endorsement, great. If I don't, well, then hopefully we'll deal with it from there. So it's a pleasure to be here this morning. It's an honor. I want to take some of you guys' questions, and I wish I had more time. I'd be willing to stay and chat with some of you guys after, but I appreciate you guys having me this morning. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe I can yell. No. Were you always conservative, or what caused you to become conservative?
I can hear his question. The question was I always conservative, or what caused me to be conservative? It's a great question. I grew up in a Marxist, communist, Democrat community here in the state. St. Paul, the Twin Cities, we could call the belly of the beast. Right? It is. Twin Cities, Minnesota is the belly of the beast. Every major city all across the country has been given over to communists. I mean, that's just the reality of what we're dealing with. It may sound a little controversial, but it shouldn't. I grew up right there in St. Paul and Rondo, the Rondo community. Interesting enough, I grew up Catholic, and the Catholic Church and the Christian community, by and large, have very traditional conservative values, marriage, church. And I woke up one day, it's like 2020, after George Floyd, and quick story, I'm sorry, I don't mean to take too much time. Quick story is, when the George Floyd thing happened, I didn't understand why black people were burning their own community down. Didn't make any sense. So I helped organize some peaceful protests. I said, hey, you guys want to demonstrate? That's your right as an American citizen. We want people to demonstrate. We want people to voice their opinion, but we want people to do it peacefully. So I helped organize some peaceful demonstrations, probably like 8 or 9 of them. Over the course of them, we didn't have one fire. We didn't have one arrest. We didn't have one fight, anything. But something strange happened. The LGBTQ community in Minneapolis was very offended that I even had the audacity to organize a protest without their help. Essentially, BLM and the rest of the LGBTQ activists down in the Twin Cities said, you should have come to us to organize. And I go, wait a minute. First of all, I don't even know you people. You people aren't even from Minnesota. You didn't grow up in the neighborhood where I went to. You weren't at any weddings, any wakes, any funerals. I don't even know. You people are imported from some liberal university in California. So you don't get to tell me how to organize my community, number one. But number two, I don't agree with you people. You want to say the police precinct is the root of your problems. I want to bring people to the Federal Reserve and talk about how money works in this country. Okay, so to answer your question, during that time, it became clear to me that just being a Christian was hostile. There was a hostility towards Christianity. So by default, I guess, if you believe in God, you've always been conservative no matter how you vote, right? Because the Democrat Party has all but, made faith in God a persona non grata. So you're going to see a lot more people start to lean conservative, the more the Democrats double down on mocking God and mocking Christ and saying that having faith in God is another conspiracy theory. Right? So.
No, it's just, it's on.
Yep.
Now, in your priorities, I didn't notice that you had crime listed.
Yeah.
Okay. Minneapolis is being destroyed with crime.
Yeah.
Does the senator focus on that or not? And when do you plan to start walking the streets of Minneapolis and canvassing? And my last question, can the Republicans take Minnesota?
3 questions. Can I even answer these? Do I have time? Okay. Well, let's take them piece by piece, if we can, starting from back and going forward. Can Republicans win Minnesota? The answer is, of course. Republicans have won Minnesota before. Can Republicans win Minnesota the way that we've won in the past? The answer is no. The politics have become too radicalized and too polarized for us to take the same approach that we did when, let's say, Tim Pawlenty won. The average Democrat is further left-leaning, too far left-leaning to vote for Tim Pawlenty because he's nice and he smiles. No, they're much more aggressive than that. So as far as Minneapolis goes, and this is another point to make about the campaign in general, people don't answer their doors. People don't answer their phones. Seriously. How many people in here answer the door when a random stranger comes? Raise your hand. If a random stranger comes to your door, you answer the door. Okay, 2 people out of 100, 3, 4, right? Okay, so how many of you live in North Minneapolis? Okay. If you lived in North Minneapolis, how many of you would answer your door when a random person comes to the door? Okay, the number went to 0. All right, so.
You need to go to coffee shops. You need to walk the streets downtown Minneapolis.
Wait a second. Okay. Wait a second. Hold on. Let me help you, okay? Let me help you. Okay, let me help you. Where is the biggest place that people come to the cities to congregate in a nonpartisan way? Say it. Somebody said in the back. I heard it. Sports. That is right. You have 5 professional sports teams, and we all should count the St. Paul Saints because everybody loves a good St. Paul Saints game, all right? So you got 6 professional sports teams where hundreds of thousands of people come every year to one spot. This is what I mean when we have to get smarter and we have to start earlier. So next Sunday, we'll be tailgating at the Minnesota Vikings games. We'll have those billboards driving around the central location. And it's constant because going to and there's a whole entire conversation we still have to have about the security of our elections. So we don't really know that the people who are voting in CD5 or CD4 down in St. Paul, Minneapolis are really voting the way they're voting, especially down in Cedar Riverside, because we know that they're ballot harvesting. Well, I'm just saying. No, they're ballot harvesting down there in Cedar Riverside with the Somalian community. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. So we don't necessarily know how they're voting, but we know what the narrative says. The narrative says that all black people and other minorities are going to overwhelmingly vote Democrat. We got to fight against that. But you only fighting against that isn't, hey, let's go canvass, and then we got a little book of data that says somebody said they're going to vote Republican. No, we have to win the narrative by being in those communities. And the problem with the Republican Party, by and large, no disrespect to anybody here who's been here a long time, but if you've been here a long time, then you wouldn't admit that the Republican Party has all but abandoned the inner cities. So when I go to the inner cities and talk, people agree with me often. They go, yeah, the crime's a problem. Yeah, we don't like Jacob Fry. Yeah, we don't really like Tim Walz either. But we don't see the Republican Party ever. Why don't you people come to talk to us? Well, that's what I'm trying to do. But to answer your first question, crime, yes. Let me help you. And this is going to sound really controversial. I'm sorry to take more time, but this is important. I hate Fox News. I hate it. Can't stand it. Like a few people that are on there, overall I hate it. So you got to talk about what the effect is of Fox News. Right? Black people and Muslims are coming to kill you. And guess what? Islam's a problem. There's no doubt about it. It's radical. And we better get our stuff together quick before we turn into Great Britain. Right now, Great Britain's losing their country to radical Islam. That's why they're running a mayor candidate in New York City and the Minneapolis here, Omar Fateh, radical Islam in your big cities, okay? So that's a problem. Black communities are out of control. Dangerous. Very dangerous, okay? But you're an American citizen, and you got to understand, everywhere we don't go, they will fill the void, and they will use it to justify voting Democrat. So we can all watch Fox News and say, hey, it's too dangerous, or we better get smart and realize that the net result of that is we're not going to go down to Minneapolis. We're not going to go down to New York City. And slowly but surely, they will build a light rail that comes through your suburbs, and before you know it, you'll find yourself pushing further and further back from the single place where all of the corruption is building up. And so the reason I don't have crime on my platform, because it goes without saying, there needs to be harsher penalties for more crimes. I don't know if you saw recently the news where the black guy got on the train in North Carolina and stabbed a white woman in the neck, killed her. I think he should get the death penalty, but, they called me an extremist. Seriously. I mean, you stab a woman in the neck, unexpected, to death for no reason, you're on film, and you admit that you did it, and you had 14 other prior felonies, death penalty. I mean, there should just be harsher penalties for violent acts, demonic, violent, heinous crimes. But these issues, well, they're not up there now. But when I ran in 24, the border was wide open. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. The debt is out of control. And the debt is a sign of your political leaders stealing from you. Okay? So the debt, and here's the thing. When you talk about crime, when your government steals, everybody's stealing. So the debt is actually a moral hazard, a social moral hazard that causes a social decay, a decay of sacred honor from the top down. So the debt's an issue. The debt's a big issue. And these wars, oh, I know this has split the room right down the middle. These wars we're in the Bible, and we had an invocation. In the Bible, it talks about just wars. And you got to go down that checklist and make sure that those wars are just before you go forward in the name of God. And we haven't always done that, okay? Iraq war, Afghanistan war, You know what you got for your war in Afghanistan? You had fentanyl crisis. Yes, an opioid crisis. When we went to Afghanistan, they were 3% of the world's poppy production. When we left, they were 92%. When we went, I'll say it again. When we went into Afghanistan, they accounted for 3% of the world's poppy production. When we left in disgrace recently under Joe Biden, we were at 90% of the world's poppy production. And you wonder why you got an opioid crisis right here at home. So that's not a just war. It's not just to go to war on a religious basis and say these radical Muslims are a danger to Europe and then get there and go, and oh, by the way, we'll take the drugs too. That's a problem. That's a lack of sacred honor. So crime is important, but as a U.S. Senator, you deal more with foreign policy and the legislation that has to do with the budget and how we spend money and things like that. So that's it for me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.